Hi folks, Mitch Garvis here, and this is the third video of me opening a Surface Pro that you've seen. And maybe you remember that about 2 years ago I was the first one to get a Surface Pro in Canada or anywhere, and about a year later I got myself a Surface Pro 2, and I did a video opening that as well. Well, here we have the Surface Pro 3, and I've sold my Surface Pro 2. They claim this is a slightly better machine. It's a slightly bigger machine, and I'm looking forward to opening it up and playing with it, and I assume that you guys are interested in seeing it too. So let's see what we've got. By the way, I'm doing this at home. Usually I would have done this at the office or at the Microsoft store, but I'm doing it here. I'm no longer with Microsoft, as you may know. And the Microsoft store, well, I didn't have my camera with me. So I picked up the bundle today. I replaced my 256 gig model with a 256 gig model. So this is going to have the same 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gig solid state drive that the previous model did. I'm looking forward to it. It's telling me on the back that it's an Intel Core i5 processor, which I already knew, which 256 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of solid state storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. If this had 256 gigs of RAM, this would be a much more expensive device. But at just under $1,200 or just over $1,200, it was a pretty good steal. Now, I should tell you that I also bought a bundle with it, which gave me a sleeve, a keyboard, and the complete care warranty. I obviously don't talk about prices very often, but it was a really good deal. And I saved a little bit of money, so I got myself an extra stylus. All of these are things that I had exactly the same with my Surface Pro 2. But seeing as none of the devices and accessories are compatible, I figured I might as well trade up. Excuse me. So, now let's get to it. I am going to see, now there's a little ribbon here, tape ribbon holding this together. Is there another one on the top? No, so that should slide right out. There. And it's going to slide right out. Wow. I didn't think that that was going to happen. But there it is. And assuming that the screen isn't cracked, I'm going to say no harm, no foul. If the screen is cracked, I think we have a trip back to the Microsoft store. No, fortunately, it's well protected. And it's exactly, well, the Windows key is up here instead of down here, so that may be defective. Yes, I'm just kidding. The Windows key doesn't get, no, the Windows button doesn't get knocked over here just because you drop it. Now, the first thing I noticed is that there is a AAA battery with it. Sorry, it's a quadruple A battery. You don't see those very often. The previous iteration of the stylus did not need a battery. It was just a touch device. And I'm going to see if this tells me what to do. It's telling me first to put the battery in this way. All right. But this is stuck in here, and I want to make sure that I don't get anything wrong on it. So I'm going to pull out. I have my Leatherman wave tool here that I'm going to use to gently pull the battery spring out of here. Put that over there. And this is, of course, just going to be, well, theoretically, just a piece of paper because it doesn't seem to be doing anything else. Fair enough. But it was blocking, of course, it was blocking the battery that is in there. That's the memory battery from actually activating. So I'm going to put the spring back in. There we go. And I noticed that there are 2 buttons on the stylus. 3 buttons if you include the one at the tip. That's new. But it's a stylus. Alright. Very fine. The thankfully slightly protected Surface Pro 3 device. I'm going to open it up. And here we are. Now it is out and it's nice and beautiful, and I will put this down right here. The first thing I notice is that it is a lot slimmer than even my Surface RT device, let alone my Surface Pro and Pro 2. The next thing is that the kickstand goes all the way down to a much lower angle. Now, if you are the type to use it with a keyboard, that, by the way, is my dog, which is one of my dogs. They're going to go nuts every time a squirrel goes through the backyard, so please forgive them. If I'm going to use it with a keyboard, I want it to be up here. But if I want to do drawing, I'm not very artistic, but if I were the type, I would be working down here and be able to draw on it as I would an easel or a pad sitting in my lap. I'm going to leave that up here for the time being. Let's see what else is in the box before we get to the other goodies. This is obviously going to be the power adapter. And while at first glance it looks just like the old power adapter, I know for a fact that it's not going to be. The connectors are going to be slightly different. And there we go. This is the new style connector that we're going to have to get used to with the Surface Pro 3. And of course my Windows 8 Pro logo on that, which is the same as it used to be. Wonderful. I'll put those aside. And while I'm not going to plug it in, I will just connect it. Now, I don't think there should be anything else in the box, so we're going to put that over there. As you can see, it slides very well on my dining room table. I will open up this piece of tape. And here is where I can plug it in. The connector is in the same place as it used to be, and it would appear just like it used to be. It can go in right side up or upside down, interchangeably. I don't know if that's a huge advantage, but I always like to see differences. Now, on this side, we have our USB 3 port and our mini DV port for our display devices, or our mini display port for our display devices. Fortunately, the display port adapter is the same, so I don't have to exchange the two that I have, one for the VGA and one for HDMI. They're both going to work exactly as they used to. On this side, just like I used to have, I have my power up and power down, my volume up and volume down, and I have what looks like a headset jack in here. And at the top, this time on the left side instead of on the right, I have the power button. I'm going to press that power button and see if it powers on for us, or if there's any power at all in this device. There is not. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to go look for a power adapter or a power cord, and I'm going to plug it in. Just give me a moment. A slight difference that I just noticed in the power adapter is that when you plug it in, you're going to notice that it lights up on the side rather than on the top. I don't think that's going to make a big deal to anybody really, but it's there. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to draw some power, and as it does, I'm going to open up my Surface Pro 3 type cover keyboard. This is replacing my purple keyboard. They have a new color for the Pro 3, which is blue, and I like blue, so I'm going to hold on to that. And plugs in just the same way, although I'm told that you can now stand the keyboard up like that if you are of a mind to do so. I'm going to leave it down flat for the time being. I'll try both modes later on. I should tell you, by the way, that at no point have I ever touched the Surface Pro 3 until today. This is a brand new experience for me, and there's nothing scripted, nothing rehearsed. This is as it was, pratfalls and all. Now, I was told that one improvement is that there's a little Stylus Holder that comes with the keyboard, and glad to see that. I'm going to open this up. It's asking me to select my region and language. Normally, I would simply use the keyboard or touch screen. I'm going to use the fancy stylus. My choices are English, Espanol, and Francais. I'll choose English. Country or region, I will change to Canada. Thank you. Whoops, that's stayed on the United States after all that. There we go. Canada. App language will be English. Keyboard layout will be US. And my time zone, I said I was going to use a stylus, and I'm not. My time zone I will set to Eastern Time. Click Next. The stylus does feel nice. I'm very impressed by it. So far I've pressed the screen 3 times with it. I'm going to accept the license terms. Now the pen setup is telling me to hold the button down on the top for 7 seconds until the light blinks. So I'm going to hold it. 1, 2, 3. My dogs are helping to count. 4, 5, 6. There we go. We have a blinking light there. We're happy. Now that's telling me that it's a Bluetooth device. It says on the screen here, searching for a Bluetooth device, and it will find it. It didn't connect, so try again 1 of 3 times. I think I'm going to hold the button down again. 1, 2, 3. Oops, it seems to have got it. Now it's asking me to personalize it. This is the Windows out-of-box experience. I'm going to call this MDG SP3 for Surface Pro 3. And I'm going to change the color from the default purple screen to a slightly light blue. And I'm going to pick my wireless network. It's going to ask me for a password. And I'm going to type in my super secret password. Making sure that the network requirements are okay. Still checking the network requirements. Still checking the network requirements. Connecting to the network is taking longer than usual. There we go. Now I'm going to say use the express settings. Next we'll set up our account. My Microsoft account is my email address. And my password is my super secret password. As I like to say, it's 8 dots. It wants to text me a code to make sure that it's me. So I'm going to click Next because it has my phone number on the screen. It wants me to type in the last 4 digits of my phone number. Now it's going to send me a code. And I'm going to sneeze. There we go. 5247773. I can tell you that because it's a one-time code. And it knows that I can either set this up exactly as my old device or set it up as a new PC instead. You know what, I think I'm going to set this up as a new PC instead. I'm not going to synchronize my start screen layout, which is an option. I'm going to click Next. I'm not going to change my keyboard. It's talking to me about OneDrive, and I'm very happy that it knows about OneDrive. I know about it too. I am very happy that this is a much larger screen than my Surface Pro 2 was. And for those of us who really are using it as a laptop replacement, that's going to be a good thing, because the one thing that I didn't like about the Surface Pro 2 was the size. I actually have an external screen that I use to connect to it. And I may continue to use that here, but probably less than I used to. So it's now telling me Haiyan is going through the out-of-box experience. We're setting things up for you. I do like the fact that unlike my Pro 3, or my Pro 2, excuse me, here I can set this at any angle, not just the 2 designated by Microsoft to be the optimal angles for me. And I think when I unplugged it, I turned the device off. Oops. Now, one thing I haven't seen yet, and it's very important, I want to know where the storage card location is. Now, I found it. It's under the kickstand, and the reason that's important is because rather than storing all of my personal data and my profile on the device itself, I store it on a mini SD or a micro SD card. And the benefit to that is when I went to the store to pick up my Surface Pro 3, I didn't have to spend hours transferring everything. I literally just made sure that anything that was sitting on the C drive was transferred to the SD card and popped it in. There's an article on my blog at www.garvis.ca that will tell you how to do that and how to set up your SD card as primary storage. So now, as we see, my Windows 8.1 device is ready to go. It's asking me for my password. I'm typing in my password. I've put the keyboard up at the higher angle, by the way, and I really do like it better than the flat on the desk. I did that by accident, but that was a happy accident, and I'm going to continue doing that. In the meantime, while it's telling me I can get my apps from the App Store, I'm going to see where it expects me to put the, what do they call it? The Stylus Holder. And you can really just put it anywhere you want. I am going to put it right here next to my USB ports. Now, if it sounded like I said USB ports and not port, there is still only the one single USB port, but by placing this here, I can now hold my stylus in place. It's a little tight. I assume that's a first use thing. Here we go. So now my Surface stylus is going to be in place wherever I go. It's installing my apps. Now, because I have all sorts of apps attached to my Microsoft account, it will take a few minutes, but I'm glad I was able to open it up. I really am excited to get used to the larger device, the new angles, and the new functionality. And that's my demo, and thanks for watching.